Welcome to the Massive Change Show. I'm Justin Foster.
And I'm Dr. Virginia Lacayo. In each episode, we have conversation with leaders who are getting in some good trouble by challenging paradigms and shaking the system.
And after each conversation, the episode shifts to the second show, where Virginia and I chat about what we learned from the guest.
If you know of any leaders who will make a great guest, please introduce us.
And of course, if you enjoy the show, please like, share, and leave a review.
Thanks for listening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Massive Change Show. Today we have a special edition, and my guest today doesn't need introduction because you know him very well at this point. Is my partner, Justin Foster. So, Justin, welcome.
Hello, Virginia.
We're gonna talk today about a new offer that you're launching as part of Massive, and is so exciting. Actually, we work together, and I know your approach and your philosophy and your methodology, and we have worked with that even for Massive many times. And still, this offer, I remember asking you, it's like, can I attend? I mean, it's like I'm not the traditional typical client, but I really want to attend. I think it's going to be really fabulous, and I can't wait to see the people that are going to join this cohort, because they're probably going to be our people. I mean, it's definitely my kind of people.
Right.
So today we're going to talk about the formula. That's the new offer that you're making. So tell me briefly a little bit about what it is, what is it, and why you created it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be somewhat transparent here, is that I have somewhat avoided, I would say, doing cohort style coaching. And it's because I really enjoy the intimacy of one-to-one. But in the last year, I have done a few kind of cohort things, and I thought, like, what would that feel like? So I start off with, you could almost say, like a curiosity question about the teaching structure. And I know you have done cohorts, dozens and dozens of cohorts of fairly large groups of people even. And so I've learned some things from you too about facilitating them. Most people aren't going to care about that. That's just kind of like where the spark came from. And then the next level was, well, what do I really want to teach to a group of entrepreneurs or creatives or founders? And what came to me is, what I see over and over again are these really smart, talented people that have been suppressed or muted by bad marketing advice, especially related to what we would collectively call the algorithm. And I just had this moment, and it really came from a philosophy I've had for a long time of just fuck the formula. Like, it's kind of the reason I love Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Elvis and could go on and on. It's like artistry is fuck the formula unto itself, and it's just something like moved in me viscerally. It was like, yes, this is it. So as you know, then I spent many hours, like, because I had to have it where I had to be able to teach the principle, but also do it in a group environment. And then a bunch of other things came out of that, which is the kind of person that needs to be there, which you've kind of alluded to. So all that to say, the formula is the 5 practices of non-algo marketing. And they're specifically designed for solo professionals, owner operators, creatives, anyone really where you are the chief cook and bottle washer for your brand. I'm not saying the principles wouldn't work for a larger group. They would. But that's not really the audience that I'm trying to attract here, because part of it is that to have the DNA where you're like, you see the algorithm stuff and the click funnels and all that stuff, and you see it, and there's a sense of kind of like, I guess I have to do that, combined with that seems like bullshit.
Mm.
Well, that kind of DNA, that subversive, if you will, or defiant type DNA, that can be kind of a lonely thing too. And so I also had this realization like, wow, I could actually bring 15 entrepreneurs together that probably don't know each other, and imagine then the collective wisdom, as you frequently refer to it, or collective intelligence that could come from that kind of dynamic. And so that's what it's about as far as the overview.
And what I totally relate with, especially what you said is I'm sick of the algorithm. I'm sick of people telling me what should I do to
Hmm.
reach out. And first, there is it's interesting because they're not one formula. There are more than one formula, but they're
Hmm.
still formulas, and they contradict with each other, and all of them suck.
Hmm.
I mean, I
Right.
don't want to follow any of them, but I feel the pressure that I should be following one of them, hopefully the most successful one or
Hmm.
proven one, as they call it,
Right.
and it's so much work.
Hmm.
It takes so much energy from me that it's energy that I don't invest in my clients. I don't invest in my creative process. I don't invest on myself to grow and to, be in a place where I can serve better. Is really draining. Doing all
Hmm.
that is exhausting, draining, and it feels like I'm I'm using somebody else's words, and
Hmm.
I'm just not being myself, and creating some kind of persona. And the problem is I have terrible memory. So when my memory is the worst. So that kind of memory, I remember feelings, I remember moments, but I don't remember steps or like
Hmm.
formulas, definitely not. And I was terrible with the periodic table and the multiplication table. I mean, it's
Right.
terrible. And the problem, I was saying, the problem is that when I meet someone, like I meet a potential a lead, a prospect, or just for networking, I'm distracted in the conversation that I want and I should be fully present. I get distracted trying to remember all the to-do
Hmm.
list and all the things that I'm supposed to say and how to say and the specific words that I'm supposed to use that are not mine. And that never works for me
Hmm.
because I'm so stressed out about that. And what is exactly and how is it, and I should memorize it, and I have terrible memory, that the other person feels that I'm not there or
Right.
feels that I'm somehow disengaged, not really in it. And so when you were talking about this idea, this project, I was like, that's for me. That's for people like me that
Hmm.
want to do their best, do everything, everything on their work, and give it all to their clients and serve and be authentic and be original and is proud of being different. Saying like I'm not for everybody. I
Hmm.
know that, and I'm so happy that that's the case, and I'm happy that um, is the way it should be. Really,
Hmm.
I'm not for
Yeah.
everybody, and not everybody is for me. And
Right.
so let's meet when we really have a click. But how would they know how to click with me if I'm pitching to everyone, really?
Right. Well, and that's why I challenge this false choice that these entrepreneurs are given. The choice
Mm,
is presented, like many formulas, as a binary. And the binary is follow this formula. It's going to cost you your soul. It's going to feel icky. It's going to feel, but it'll work in the sense it'll produce leads or something.
mm,
Or do nothing and remain a secret. And this is where it comes to me kind of almost like a moral responsibility is, and I've said this for years, being the best kept secret just means you suck at marketing. It's not a badge of honor. It's a better choice probably than selling your soul to be to the algorithm, but it's a false choice. But there is a moral almost responsibility if your work, your business, your craft is an extension of your soul, you have a responsibility to be memorable and findable and repeatable. Those are not tactics, they're moral responsibilities. If you look at the spiritual masters that have the world's oldest brands, they were those three things. They didn't have a fucking algorithm. They had
I mean,
something
you're talking
else.
about what Gandhi, Jesus,
Gandhi, Jesus, Martin Luther King Jr.,
yeah,
Eckhart Tolle, like they
yeah,
didn't have those. They don't want to follow a formula
or a
and
funnel.
or a funnel or anything like that. And and so this is one of the filters for being part of the cohort
Mm,
is I can't give you courage or vision. I can't do that. I can't. You're not going to come here and like, well, maybe if I find the right thing to say, then I'll have the courage to say it. That's not going to happen. You have to bring courage. I'll bring clarity. The group will help you. You're going to practice. Your confidence will grow. I can help you with your confidence, but I cannot give you courage. I cannot give you moral clarity. You have to have that. But if you accept your own greatness, that there's something unique and special about you, then branding and marketing is no longer about a task. It's about a way of engaging with the world, about being a light. And that requires some sort of discipline and structure. And so this is one of the things I also wanted to say is when I say fuck the formula, I'm not saying I'm against tools or I'm against systems. You know this about me. I'm not against those things. In fact, um, one of the fifth module is called scale, simplify to scale, and I talk in there about how to use. I'll talk in there how to outsource, how to use AI and ChatGPT, how to use these tools in a way that's ethical and consistent. To use a Spanish word, that's consequente. That I will teach you how to do that. So I'm not saying fuck the tools or technology, and I expect you to use flip phones and in the yellow pages or whatever. This isn't Amish marketing. It's just a way to. It's these five principles that don't require you to do anything that reduces who you are or what you really want to say.
mm.
And
And
if there's a science to it, it's really from your world of complexity science. It's the science of organic word of mouth,
yes,
which is how all great brands throughout time and before there was an algorithm, they were all word of mouth brands. And there's a system, there's an organic, beautiful complexity to that requires a level of kind of operational faith that you do have something to say, that you do offer value to the world, that there is a way to say it that feels like your voice. There is an audience that's looking for you, and there's a way to do it all in a simple, scalable way. That's that. This is sort of like almost like a return to ancient principles, but with modern conditions and tools.
I think that there are many people like us. I mean, like the audience that you're trying to reach, that are aware that we cannot, and it's not worth to. We say in Spanish, there is a saying, so I'm gonna just translate it: reinvent the warm water, or
Hmm.
the wheel. Is like we don't have to start from scratch and inventing everything and creating everything. So what we do usually is that we follow someone that we admire. And unfortunately, especially if we're starting on this business, on our business, whatever the business is, we try to replicate and say, like, that person was
Hmm.
successful, so I'm going to do exactly what they're doing. And usually without having in mind that that person got there after 10 years of failures, for instance,
Hmm.
and try and experimenting and all that. And we want to jump from this position all the way to success in a
Hmm.
week, right?
Hmm.
But we follow therefore, even if it's not taught, we try to copy exactly what other people are doing. So what would you say is the difference between formulas and, let's say, best practice?
Yeah. So I don't really believe in best practices. I believe in
Hmm.
best principles.
Yes.
That's, I don't, and again, it's about humility. It's like, certainly you can learn something from everybody. I don't know who said it originally, but the quote is, everyone has got something that I can learn from. Everybody I meet has something to teach me. I think it was Mark Twain. Anyway, best practices are, to me, really best principles. And the best principles as it relates to branding and marketing are: don't lie, don't bullshit people, don't gaslight them. The golden rule of marketing is, don't market unto others the way you don't like being marketed to. Um, don't water yourself down. It's a series of almost like negative enumerations that are the best principles. Um, and where formulas come into play is, the formula never, it's a formula because it never adapts to your reality. It tells you what
Mhm.
you need to change, not what it needs to change.
Mhm.
And the other thing about a formula is, it always enriches the person or the people that made the formula more than it does the people using the formula. You can see this with multi-level marketing as an example. And or you look at this with extractive corporate capitalism as another example. It's like, just work hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, if you're a nepo baby, that's a very different experience for you. Capitalism is. So it really is understanding too that entrepreneurism, which would be any of these factors, whether you're a creative, solo professional, owner operator, small business owner, founder, whatever your title is, the principles are all entrepreneurial, and entrepreneurialism is art. And art does not have a formula. If it has a formula, it's no longer art, it's entertainment. And anyone listen to this, I very much guarantee that you are not in your business to be entertaining, nor are you in business to spend a bunch of shit ton of money on marketing that doesn't work, or going from formula to formula to formula, hoping that this is the thing that's going to make you feel better. The only thing that will make you feel better about your marketing is telling the truth about who you are. That's what will make you feel better. And formulas don't do that. Formulas say, this is what we need. And you know this. I love country music, and I love outlaw country. And that's where the term outlaw came from. It's been bastardized and watered down to mean like something else. Like, I could go on a whole rant about that, but you can listen to on my podcast, my conversation with Wendy Colonna, about where I make fun of country music singers that call themselves outlaws. It's the same thing in marketing. There's very few outlaws in marketing practices, like thought leaders. I think Simon Sinek's a smart dude, but most of what he says is uninteresting and unapplicable. Like, you can start with Why, great book. The one about leadership and brain chemistry, great book. But the day-to-day basis, there's a few. Seth Godin.
Mhm.
You read him and you're like, this guy isn't teaching me a formula. He's teaching me best principles. Gary Vee, best principles. Mark Cuban, best principles. There's no formula there. And sadly, I've seen someone that I've admired that really was all about creativity try to put their creativity into a formula, and that's Donald Miller and StoryBrand. I'm not saying StoryBrand is not a useful structure. All structures are useful in some way. I don't believe in the horoscope, but it's sort of an interesting structure. And there's a bunch of those and I'm not questioning the intention. I'm questioning what it costs the person doing the work in opportunity costs and in energy tax to fit into that model. And so that's the difference to me between best principles / practices and a formula.
Yeah, that is really important to distinguish. It makes so much sense. And when you mention that is like art and created art, no matter what kind of art you can write something, you can paint, you can create music. There are techniques and skills that they're not absolutely required. You can still do things without. But if you learn them and if you polish them and you develop them, then you might get better, faster results.
Hmm.
But what you are creating and the final results cannot be taught. It's
That's right.
not something that you fit in a in a format or anything like that. It's like that
Yes.
is and has to be absolutely original. So the techniques and the skills is just to make your job a little bit easier, to avoid some mistakes, and to get a little more, polished results. But that's it. It's just a help, but not
Yes.
the way of creating the result.
Right.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So let's talk about this offer that you're this cohort and this program that you're offering is Fuck the Formula. Tell me about the content. What people can expect to learn. You divide it in models, right? So
Hmm.
what is each model about?
Yeah. So let's talk about the experience first. So the experience is a combination of lecture, for lack of a better term, of me doing two things. One is helping you unlearn, or to use a word from the faith community, of deconstruct. There's a lot of bullshit that people have accumulated about what marketing is. And I've often said my greatest competitor is just shitty advice, marketing advice. So we have to unlearn that. We got to make space for it. And then it's learning kind of the core principles of each of these principles, which I'll talk about in a second. The other part of the experience is that there's going to be a lot of triads and group. That's why there's 15. So we can have 5 3-person triads working together to really hone in on that, like, group coaching, peer coaching model. Because this is why I'm hand selecting every person that's going to be part of this, at least the first cohort, probably the additional ones, because you need to be able to have a coaching mindset as yourself. You probably need to have some experience as a mentor, because you're going to get mentored, and people are going to, and you're going to give mentoring in these kind of group environments. The third thing is you're going to come out of each module with actual things you can implement. And so I'll just go through the modules. So module 1 is about messaging, and it's simply called Finding Your Voice. I start there because your voice is an extension of your soul, and formulas detach you from your soul. They separate you from your soul. So it's when you find your voice, there's the idea that you would try to sound like someone else will seem so silly and foolish. Um, and so finding your voice is, if we were looking at it from an axiological perspective, is really intrinsic. It's inside of you. So there's a lot of self-reflection here about where are you reducing yourself? Where are you modifying yourself? What I say, modify to mollify. Where do you modify yourself to mollify or placate an audience or whatever? What makes your voice? What makes you doubt your own voice? What makes you feel like you have to copy somebody else? And so there's a lot of psychology in this first module, a lot of inner reflection. And then we work on, like, this thing that you really want to say. And if you could call it a message, because that's what it is. This work I call it as brand poetry, is because when you feel it, when you say it, you'll feel it. And if you feel it, the other people will feel it. Because if you don't feel it, if you're like droning through some talking point that some marketing consultant gave you, that because you bought a $99 course or something, you're not going to feel it. And if you're trying to engage with other, like, clients or prospects that are also some higher level of social and emotional intelligence, they're not going to believe you either if you don't believe you. And so that's module 1, is really around finding your voice. So because your voice is your message. The second one is called You Are Not a Commodity. And this is another thing that comes from following formulas, is that you have to dumb it down, water it down. I loathe the phrase meet the market where they're at. No, you don't need to meet the market where you're at. They are also responsible for being grown ass adults and learning more about you. You don't have to you don't have to mansplain it to everybody. But the real issue here is understanding how to articulate in a confident way the things that make you truly different. And most people tend to mute that because it's seen as arrogant, or they don't believe it. So it feels like imposter syndrome. As I've often said, the reason you have imposter syndrome is because you're acting like an imposter. So don't do that. Don't be an imposter. Will find the things that are truly make you brilliant and different, and you'll learn how to talk about those things in a way that you would never commoditize them. So that's module 2. Module 3 is you have shit to say. And this is a big one where we sort of get into more of the extrinsic and systemic aspects of branding this way. Is most people that are solo entrepreneurs in particular find the whole thing about thought leadership and content development and social media and all that stuff exhausting. So either they outsource it to somebody that is then they've outsourced also their voice, which you should never do that, and or they just don't do anything or at all, and then they're hard to find because social media still is a platform, or content production is still a
Mm-hmm.
platform. Content production, whether it's in writing or video or audio, whatever, is still social proof to a large extent. So that to not do it is not an option to me. The key is to shift here, where I talk about you have shit to say in this module, is to shift thinking about it as content production to a creative practice. Because I have models and systems that if you can get it out of you, I know how to get it out into the world. But I can't get it out of you. I can't tell you what to say, or here's what the market's trending towards now. It's like it's a creative practice first, and then it's a matter of like, how do you package it? And just like you do in a recording studio, songs have a limit, and there's a certain amount of songs that you release at any given time, and so there's structure to it. But the structure begins with seeing content creation or thought leadership as a creative practice.
Mm-hmm.
Module 4 is all about, it's called protect your value. This is really about pricing structures and fee structures. It's another area that over 22 years of doing this, I've seen many solo professionals struggle with understanding their value. And they feel like they have to do the $99 special, or give away the 2-hour coaching call, or sort of apologize for their fee. And so we're going to have a really honest conversation about your value and about your responsibility to protect that value, including saying no to people that don't don't understand your value. You have a responsibility to explain how someone may benefit from your value, but you do not have a responsibility to defend your value. And so pricing and fee structures and stuff is all of module 4. As I mentioned earlier, module 5 is simplified to scale. It's all about selecting the right tools. And that right tools could be just things that liberate you to do what you really want to do. I've yet to find a solo professional that really wants to do their own marketing. They may have ideas and they like to be involved, but it's not their thing. And so it's how to be really smart about what you invest time in. And this also goes to, because it's almost like on a sort of humorous spectrum. Either I run into people that are entrepreneurs that have overpaid. They bought HubSpot or something, and they're stuck with it. You probably don't need HubSpot if you're a solo professional, but if you have it, I'm going to teach you how to use it properly. Or you go the other way, and it's all sort of clunky and manual systems and sort of put together with duct tape and baling twine. And we're going to dismantle that and give you a system that allows you to scale. Because when you don't scale, one of the reasons you're not scaling where you want to go is because your systems can't support it. Either you've overspent them and you can't get the ROI out of them, or you just have like antiquated systems. And the other system we talk about in Simplify to Scale is what you give your time and energy to. And this is what one of my promises for people that complete this cohort is: a lot of the shit you used to worry about, you're not going to worry about anymore. You're going to go to a networking thing. You're like, okay, what do I need to say? Or, oh, I'm supposed to write a blog post because, what am I going to say? Or, I got to write this proposal and I'm going to take hours to do it. And I'm going to sit and worry about it after that maybe it was overpriced. Like you could, all that shit. I'll put it this way. If you worry about it, it's because you're choosing to worry about it. And that's really for you to talk to your therapist about. But you won't have to worry about it anymore. And all of that energy that you were spending Worrying about that stuff, you can point it to your clients, point it, if you got staff, you can point it to your team, point it to yourself. Enjoy being an entrepreneur. And then finally, um, there'll be about 30 days after the last module, we're going to do an accountability check-in, because you'll leave with a series of things you're committing to doing. And so we're going to check in as a group and see how everybody's doing.
Oh,
So that's the
that
experience.
sounds.
That's the experience. Yeah.
Can't wait to. I can't wait for you to open that cohort and just like sneak in.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, to be clear about something,
Hmm.
what is going to be the main focus of the teaching, let's say, and the practice and the exercises? So it's going to be on my voice, it's going to be on my systems, it's going to be on my offers. How is
Well,
that distributed?
yeah, it's distributed by each one. So, if we put it in really simple language, module one is about your message. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to work on your message anymore, because message is a red thread through everything.
Mm,
The second one is going to be about like what makes you different. And also then within that is who is your audience, because they kind of go hand in hand. And then it's about content creation, thought leadership. And then it's about pricing and offers. And then it's about systems and structure. And I did them in that order on purpose, because it goes from it's intrinsic, extrinsic, systemic, and that's the order of mastery. So
mhm,
you don't master the systems first. You master the intrinsic stuff first, which is your mindset and your self-talk and your sense of self-worth. And, that always manifests in your voice. I often say that over explaining in marketing is a sign of insecurity. So
yeah.
you don't know who you are. So it's hard to talk about what you do in a way that you're like, yeah, it's me, and you're excited to say it. So that structure is, and it's kind of woven together, but they're by that flow or order very specifically by design.
Mm.
And
And
certainly
how
there's
much?
certainly there's output from each of them. There's always something to do. Like there's always going to be like there's going to be a way to rewrite your homepage after you get message, and we do the commodity one, and you understand your audience and your differentiators. Then there's going to be a way in the workbook, a way to how to rewrite your bio is another one.
Mm,
It's really about branding as a leadership competency on a daily basis, not something that is on the to-do list, but something that you are living and breathing, almost like that's why we refer to these as practices, because they happen every day. These 5 things happen every day in some form or
and
the other.
yeah, and so I get that we're going to get assignments. We're going to have to do some work. But from you, are we going to get, besides ideas, are we going to get practical tools
Hmm.
and, like some kind of formats or something that we can use to guide our work?
Yeah, not really. We're
Okay.
not going to do that, because everyone's different. So this
Mm,
is why I'm doing it as a live cohort. I'm not doing this as a video series and you're going to get a workbook and you sit there and fill it out, because that's a formula. And so I would compare it to going into the studio. You're just going into the studio with a group of people. Or maybe you could look at it this way: it's like a songwriting circle.
mhm,
And it's a creative place. And so certainly there's going to be principles you'll learn. There's some things you're going to unlearn. I do have some tools and resources, like I said, like how to write a killer bio, like a structure for it, or things that you need that must be on your homepage. Some very what we consider practical stuff. But you, through my coaching and through the group, especially your whatever triad you're assigned to that day for that module, you're going to be doing that work yourself, because it's around this belief. You already know what to say, what to do, who you are. You just need to get there. It's almost like getting back to the child. The child doesn't have any insecurities about what to say,
Yeah.
that a little kid, or what makes them different and unique, and those type of things. And so I very specifically didn't make it where it was that it was just me yakking away with all my opinions about branding and marketing. But on the other end of it, I didn't want it to be where it was all just tactical structure. And that goes back to this. Let's just use this as an example. I believe a entrepreneur does have a responsibility, like I said, to be findable, repeatable, memorable. Thought leadership is a way to do that. Thought leadership is a great way to create IP, social proof. But how you do it is entirely up to you. So I'm not going to say, well, here's how you do a podcast, or here's how you do a 750 article, LinkedIn article that the LinkedIn algorithm's going to love. Fuck the formula. Is what we are going to figure out is what shit you have to say and what is the best format for you to use that you can do the most consistently, that it feels like a creative practice. And so that's we're in an incubator. It's a organic, it's like a garden almost that we're going to be in. And yes, there's tools, but the tools will help you to get to the thing that you already kind of know. You just need to figure out how to get there.
Well, nice. So we're gonna have some one-on-one time. I mean, are you gonna coach individuals within the group? They're gonna get like personalized feedback or something?
Yeah. So in each session, and I learned this from you, is from your model, is in each session, there's going to be prior to the session, self-reflection time, stuff you're going to work on. You're going to bring that. You're going to go into your triad, and they're going to beat the shit out of it with each other. And then I'm going to have, because the time, the length is, we got plenty of time. It's 90 minutes to 2 hours of actual module time per module. Then I'm going to take essentially volunteers to do some, I'll focus on them, but everybody else gets to listen in. And again, that's a model I learned from you. And so that's that combination of instruction, principles, peer coaching, group coaching with a focus on a person. And I will make it so that if somebody wants to purchase a one-to-one session with me to work on it by themselves, they can do that, but not during the program. After, it's like, you got to figure this shit out yourself. I don't want to create monetized codependency in the middle of the cohort.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and makes sense. I mean, what I do with that methodology of working with cohorts is that yes, we use a specific real situations, real life
mhm,
situations. So it's not hypothetical, it's not in
mhm,
theory. So it's like something that they are experiencing or they are facing and are being challenged by, and they need some kind of feedback or
mhm,
guidance. But I do it in a way that I help the person understand the challenge and get their own answers. But I'm also making sure that the analysis, even if I have to do it at the end, and say like, okay, what can we learn from this, and how you apply these questions that I ask to your own work, and how. So
mhm,
I abstract the lesson, let's say that
mhm.
other people might take, or I ask them is like, what did you learn from this that can apply to you, and so everybody learns from that experience, even if the feedback was not directly to them, and it
That's right.
works really well because it's really like having if you're gonna have like 15 peoples, right?
Hmm.
That's the maximum of the cohort. It's small enough to get it really intimate and personal,
Hmm.
and it's big enough for every participant to feel that they're not getting one coaching, but 14 coaches or 15 coaches coaching moments at the same time. So
That's right.
that's wonderful. There are many benefits of being in a cohort in a project like this. I mean, it's true that you can have more attention, more time from your coach or your guide, if it's just one-on-one, but you're missing out on the diversity of wisdom and perspectives and ideas and
Hmm.
suggestions that a group can bring, and especially a group that is not too big, so you can still get enough time, attention time, and intimacy. So that is awesome. I think that you're choosing the perfect um, container for the benefit of the participants. So when who do you expect? I mean, let's recap because you mentioned it at the beginning. Who is this program for?
Hmm.
And both like who are you
Hmm.
talking to right now, but also who else might be interested in this?
So it's designed for anyone that would identify as an entrepreneur, really. And I say in the copy I wrote, solo professionals, creatives, um, owner operators. Yeah, you are the chief cook and bottle washer. That's the general who it's for. It's not for corporate people, as an example. It's not for like a head of marketing for a company, unless you want to start your own
Mm,
business. You got to be an entrepreneur. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you are 100% responsible for these five things.
mm,
If you're a corporate marketer or even a CEO of a bigger company, you're not you yeah, you have some accountability for these five things, but these are deeply there's an ownership to them when you're an entrepreneur. But there's more than that. There's sort of the what I would call is the spiritual or psychographic profile. And the first is high emotional and social intelligence. Um, Especially social intelligence, because social intelligence, social consciousness is another way to look at that. Is there's a need when you have high emotional and social intelligence, is that it's this you have been trying to suppress this feeling of ick about marketing, and I don't want you to do that anymore. So I need you to be self-aware of who you are and how you want to show up in the world. That I can't give you that. um, the Another trait that's really important is moral clarity or strong personal ethics. Marketing is often the first thing that has the most moral squish or moral relativism. Like if accountants did what marketers did, they'd all go to prison in
mm,
many ways, And so you have to have some moral clarity about what you're willing, about being willing to be honest and vulnerable and authentic and, make the world react to you, etc. I need people that have sort of a relentless originality. They may or may not identify with the feeling of being a misfit. That's not always the case, but there's a sense of like, I, and I would say this is a quiet thing that they say is like, why am I following a formula? I'm not like them. Yeah, I want to encourage that because you're not like them. Now, them is not really them either, but that's a different conversation. But this sense of like, it's not for me. Like formulas are not for me. Okay, I agree with that. That's what I call a relentless originality. What
or
else?
maybe they try it and they find out that it's not for
Yes,
them and they're struggling
yes,
with that,
right.
even
Yeah,
if they don't know why.
yeah. Another one is a willingness to like you're not going to learn any hacks or silver bullets or magic potions or anything here. This is kind of gritty work. As I've said many times, this is like making bourbon, not White Claw. So it takes time and you need some patience and you need patience with yourself. So um, there is a organic way to do this that the algorithm sort of was what steroids were for sports. It was like it was a shortcut, but there was a cost on the other end of it. And so having some trust in the process, trust in the timing of things is another essential trait. So and I've also selected these traits because it would be easy to say, well, I'll have integrity or be honest or yeah, sure, that would be great. But each of these things I've just mentioned are each being done by each person in their own way that other people can learn from, other people can get inspiration from. Because, like I said, you are going to be coaching other people in the groups.
Mhm.
So you that's where there needs to be this sort of DNA of the type of person that is part of the cohort. So it's my belief that there's millions of them, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, they are. The point is like they might not all of them, and that's a good thing because it's hard to reject so many people, right? You have only
Right.
space for 15 right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will encourage, if you're listening to us, I will encourage to do as soon as possible because this first serve, first show up, and the first serve is gonna fill up really quickly. We
Hmm.
I expect. So how they can reach out to you or join the program, or what is the next
Hmm.
step for them if they're interested right now?
Yeah. So there's a sort of a mini application, and I'll put the link to the landing page in with the in the when we publish this. And it is the process is, I need to know if you're serious, so I need you to do something for me, which is to fill out the form, because I don't have time for tire kickers here. Like
Mhm.
I want the right 15. What I'll do then is I'll send you the deck with the whole curriculum, the pricing, everything you need to know with my calendar link, that you, if you want to book a call with me to find out if you still have a conversation, or as it says at the end of that deck, if you're a yes, just send me a text or an email and say yes, and then there's an onboarding process and your seat will be secured, and that's it. If you don't get selected, it's probably because you didn't fill out the form. So I need to know.
Or what if people got late to the process and you already have all the 15? Can they get
Well,
in a
yeah,
waiting
there's going to be
list
a
or something?
absolutely yes. So I don't want to get over my skis here. Intuitively, I feel like this is going to be big, and I would love that there'll be another cohort start, not at the end of the first cohort, but maybe, halfway through, because I'm going to be learning too. Again, I've never done a cohort like this before. So definitely, there will always be an opportunity to join the next cohort. And the other thing I'm doing that's unique here is I'm not that I just say early October, because what I want to do is once I have the 15, I want to have a kickoff call, and I want the group to help decide the day and the frequency. You want to do it every Friday at 7 a.m., or you want to do once every 2 weeks? Like, we should decide that together. It's your business and your time. So, but in general, we're going to start in early October with the first module. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I really encourage everybody listen to us. Justin is the master of the language and the master of messaging and branding, almost anything really. And I know it's my partner and I'm supposed to say that, but it's also true. That's
Thank
that's
you.
the few things that I'm not saying that to him. I'm saying it to you, and it's true. And I'm not the only one saying it. And every single uh, client that we had in Massive that had worked with Justin have only praises for him. So this is a great opportunity. It's not someone that sells formulas. It's not someone that is like, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make a funnel for this and like keep a pipeline coming. No, he's very authentic when he said, I'm only gonna work with 15 people. And this is something that, as far as I know and my experience, everybody needs, but he's not going to work with everybody. And that shows that his main interest is not just sell and make money and, like having like huge cohorts of 250, like many courses are. He's very authentic that I'm going to give my best. I'm expecting you to give your best. Let's work together. Let's keep it small because of that. So it's a, it's if you don't register, if you don't apply soon enough, you might have to wait. And why wait? I mean, at this point, nobody can afford to wait too long to start doing things that feels right and that gets the right results for you. So I'm really, really encouraging you to. I'm doing it. You're gonna see me there. I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna negotiate this with him because I'm not the typical client, but I'm gonna do it, even though I have He's my business partner, and he does that work for Massive. I want to learn personally more about everything, and I want to polish my voice and polish my ideas about where I'm going now and how I keep evolving. I mean, that's something that I know is gonna be with me for a lifetime. Against the formulas that I have followed before, that it worked for a little bit, or or didn't work at all, and then when I find out that the market was, changed the algorithm, I was at zero again. I was starting all over again and doing all the painful work again and training and all that. So I
Hmm.
don't want that anymore. So can tell you enough that join now. The link is below. He's gonna post the link in all his social media. I know that because that's what he does. And so take advantage. And we see you again soon in the next show. Thank you so much. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.